Good evening, everyone. It's time for your daily Bible verse, and tonight we're going to read Mark chapter 9, verses 23 to 24, but we got to backtrack first before we read those. So, to briefly catch up here to those verses, there's a man in the crowd. He brought Jesus, his son, who is possessed by a spirit that has robbed him of speech, and whenever it seizes him, it throws him to the ground, and he foams at the mouth, gnashes his teeth, and becomes rigid. Then he goes on to say, he asked his disciples to drive out the spirit, but they could not. And Jesus says, "O unbelieving generation, how long shall I stay with you? How long shall I put up with you? Bring the boy to me." And we'll do that a different time, a different day, that verse, because I have much to discuss on that too. But I want to focus here when he brings the boy to Jesus. And the man says then, he says, "But if you can do anything, take pity on us and help us." And now we go to verse 23. "If you can," said Jesus, "everything is possible for him who believes." Immediately the boy's father exclaimed, "I do believe. Help me overcome my unbelief." And this is interesting because what happens is we tend to only partially believe God's gonna make a way for us. We only partially believe everything's gonna work out in the long run with him. There's only partial or there's no belief. Like, you think you're doomed. You think nothing's gonna get better. You think you're stuck in your situation. You think it's gonna be a permanent, lifelong thing. And nothing could be further from the truth. The problem is, you see it here. Jesus says, if you can, everything is possible for him who believes. That means you gotta have faith. You gotta believe. You gotta almost assume that everything's gonna work out with God. And then 24, immediately the boy's father exclaimed, "I do believe. Help me overcome my unbelief." He's asking Jesus to help him to overcome his unbelief. And that's what we got to do when the future looks dark and bleak. We got to ask God to help us to overcome our unbelief. And then Jesus drives the spirit out of the boy. It says it convulsed him violently and it came out. See what faith does? You all have a blessed night. Jesus loves you. I love you.